Retaliation in the truck race sends a driver to the hospital. Chandler Smith suggests he may be out of the sport in 3 weeks. And Ryan Preece to RFK Racing may have just been confirmed. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Sunday's Cup race at Homestead Miami Speedway gave us a lot to talk about, but so did Saturday. Let's catch up on the latest NASCAR news, but first, this episode is sponsored by Earos. They recently partnered with Hendrick Motorsports, offering high-fidelity hearing protection. They filter out the noise, but not the actual sound. I wore them to a couple of concerts recently, and they work great. Extremely comfortable as well. I barely even realized I was wearing them after 2-3 hours. And now, Hendrick Motorsports fans at least can represent their favorite drivers. Click the link down below to learn more. Thank you to Earos for sponsoring the show. The sun was shining bright at Homestead Miami Speedway this weekend, but that won't always be the case. According to reporter Lee Spencer, a wet weather tire test is happening at Homestead Miami Speedway today. The RFK 6, Legacy 42, and Hendrick 48 are reportedly participating. Wet weather tires at a 1.5 mile oval. I never thought I'd see the day, and realistically speaking, we may need to wait years before these are ever used in an actual race. I'm glad NASCAR and Goodyear are testing something. Anything that gives NASCAR the ability to fight back against Mother Nature is good in my book. But going back to Spencer's tweet, what's that about Ryan Preece in the 6 car? Ryan Preece has been linked to RFK Racing for months now. Go back to August. Sports Business Journal reported that Kroger, Preece's former sponsor at JTG Doherty, was expected to join RFK Racing in 2025. A couple weeks later, The Athletic reported that Preece would be tagging along, would drive a third full-time RFK Cup Series entry. But those reports are nearly 2 months old. It's been radio silent since. Brad Keselowski is asked about this almost every weekend. Now, based on this report from Lee Spencer, we may finally have close to confirmation that Preece to RFK is happening. Why else would Ryan Preece be testing an RFK Racing Ford? I can't think of a single other reason. Preece to RFK seems all but a done deal at this point. I like the move. Y'all know I'm higher on Ryan Preece than most. He's won truck races in select starts. He's won Xfinity races in select starts. And he's never been in a good Cup Series car. Stewart-Haas is not good. Ryan Preece joined Stewart-Haas Racing the same year Kevin Harvick went winless. That tells you the kind of equipment he's been dealing with the past 24 months. Oh, and he's still ahead of Josh Berry and Rodney Childers in the points this year. Just saying. Ryan Preece is a good driver who has not had a truly good Cup Series opportunity yet. So if he in fact ends up at RFK in a third car next year, I hope he finds success. I think he will. I think he will be a fringe playoff contender capable of snagging a win somewhere. Obviously, he has an existing relationship with Kroger, so I think it's good for the team on the business side as well. I hope it works out. This report, this tweet, is the closest thing we've gotten to a confirmation now in months. The real question is, where will RFK Racing get that third charter from? Are they going to lease it from Rick Ware Racing? Are they going to try to swoop in and buy one of the Stewart-Haas charters? I don't know how that would work. If 2311 and Front Row have already agreed to buy a Stewart-Haas charter, can RFK just come in now and outbid them? Maybe RFK doesn't race with a charter. NASCAR has said that the open teams will be allocated a little more purse money next year, so maybe they risk it. That's what interests me. Happy for Preece if this works out, but I'm more interested in how RFK is making this work on the business side. Anyway, let's talk about what happened on Saturday. First, in the Craftsman Truck Series race, 18-year-old Thor Sport driver Connor Jones intentionally wrecked Nice Motorsports driver Matt Mills, sending him up into the outside wall. They were racing, I think, for like 17th or 18th place. I don't remember exactly. And immediately after the incident, Jones keyed up the radio and said,
"It's been all f***ing year. All f***ing year. I'm tired of it. I'm f***ing tired of it. love it.
Said, more like yelled, exclaimed. Connor Jones was subsequently parked by NASCAR for 2 laps, held on pit road as penalty. Matt Mills, then out of the race, was checked into a nearby hospital for further evaluation where he spent Saturday and Sunday night. He was only released earlier today and posted this short clip on social media.
All the overwhelming support and text messages I've got just mean so much to me. Having you guys there to support me and help me get through that, just can't thank y'all enough. Can't wait to be back at the racetrack, Martinsville this weekend, and continue doing what I love. It's definitely a scary situation I've had, but it's just part of the sport.
Glad Matt Mills appears to be okay. Back to Saturday, Connor Jones post-race did not want to speak with reporters, left the track, then later issued this statement on social media. I've not yet had the chance to personally apologize to Matt for the incident that took place during today's race, but I intend to do so. Matt and I have encountered several on-track incidents this season, and I let my frustration get the best of me. I underestimated the impact my actions would have on Matt, and I deeply regret the consequences that followed. He then says, my thoughts are with Matt during this time after hearing that he's been taken to the hospital for further evaluation. Okay, everyone's up to speed now. My take on this, I don't know Connor Jones personally. I've heard stories that question his maturity, but I didn't know Connor Jones personally, and frankly, I haven't seen him race all that much, so I was trying to reserve judgment until I heard The Athletic's Jordan Bianchi go off on Connor Jones on this week's episode of The Teardown. Good podcast. Encourage you to check out the full episode. But Bianchi, I just want to read you a couple lines he said. I don't usually hear Jordan Bianchi go off like this on a driver, so this stood out to me. Jordan said, quote, if you do something like that, referring to Connor Jones, you need to answer. And he didn't answer. That's on him. This is a pattern. This isn't a one-time thing where we can say, oh, young kid, learning. No, you go back and talk to people and see the races in the Cars Tour or anything else. He has a pattern of immature decision making. These kinds of things are not uncommon, and it needs to stop. Whew, scathing remarks. Yeah, so again, I don't know Connor Jones personally, but from what I've heard about him from others who do know him a little better, I'm not surprised by what happened at Homestead Miami Speedway. I'm glad NASCAR in the moment stepped in. NASCAR, they'll police things sometimes, but they often wait until Tuesday or Wednesday, like in the case with Austin Dillon at Richmond. It's pretty rare that they step in that moment and say, hey, that was too far, that was over aggressive, you're parked, or held multiple laps, whatever the case. So I'm glad NASCAR stepped in. The Truck Series has a bad rep. The Phoenix finale last season was rock bottom. This season, between Lane Riggs getting penalized earlier in the year, now Connor Jones, it feels NASCAR is attempting to step in. They realized that things had gotten out of hand in the Truck Series. These kinds of shenanigans could not continue, and so they're beginning to actually make calls. So I commend NASCAR for that. Talking about Connor Jones specifically, I just don't think he has enough talent to be doing things like this. I get that he's got some family money. That can help you go a long way in this sport. But it can't help your reputation, and wrecking people on purpose at a high-speed mile and a half and then allegedly using ChatGPT to write your apology is not the way to propel your stock car racing career to the next level. So I hope Connor Jones and any other young drivers learn from this. There is a line, even in NASCAR, you can't cross it. Fuel mileage ultimately determined the Truck Series race winner. Grant Enfinger went back-to-back, continuing to box his competitors out of the championship four. Congratulations to him. After the truck race Saturday afternoon was the Xfinity Series race. Austin Hill went to victory lane, locked into the championship four. Chandler Smith is now 28 points below the cut line heading into the round of 8 cutoff at Martinsville, and he spoke to reporters after the race, faced questions from Fox Sports' Bob Pockrass. When asked about how he would approach Martinsville with so much on the line, Chandler Smith candidly talked about his future in the sport, his uncertain future. Chandler said, quote, well, I don't have a ride for next year, Bob. I could be working for my dad's construction business, and I could be hanging it up at the end of this year. So that being said, all craps will not be given at Martinsville. Then, when pressed about his future plans or lack thereof, Chandler continued, "There's not really any seats left open. The only seats left open, you've got to bring a big pocketbook with you, and I don't have a big pocketbook." Chandler Smith is 22 years old. He's wrapping up his second full-time Xfinity Series season, and he's been pretty good. He's got a couple of wins. He's been in the championship conversation all year long. He's been extremely consistent. But his current team, Joe Gibbs Racing, recently announced that Brandon Jones, Taylor Gray, and William Sawalich will be their full-time drivers next season, suggesting there's not room for Chandler Smith anymore. And that's a little weird considering Chandler Smith is only 22 years old, and at least in my opinion, he's done enough to show that he's better right now than Brandon Jones, William Sawalich, and Taylor Gray. Sawalich, Taylor Gray, they're really young. They might have a higher ceiling ultimately, but right now, I think Chandler Smith is a little better. But if I'm, seriously critically assessing Chandler Smith's NASCAR career up to this point, he's good. He doesn't scream future Cup Series star to me, but I guess it's a little alarming that someone like a Chandler Smith is now struggling to find a decent Xfinity Series ride. Like, Chandler Smith is a good driver. He won a race with Colleague last year. He's been able to win with Gibbs. I know Gibbs has some of the best cars, but he's proven he's good. He also brings some funding. I don't want to pretend here that Chandler Smith is, a rags to riches story. Like, he's had family funding that's helped support him to get to this point. It just may not be enough to take him to the next level. But he has some funding. He's also young. Like, he still has room to improve. There is still that promise of potential, the excitement that comes with that. So he's young, has some funding, and is proven to be pretty good. That combination can't get a decent Xfinity Series ride. To me, that's a little alarming. I get it from Joe Gibbs Racing's standpoint. The business is so tough, especially in the Xfinity and Truck Series. And Chandler Smith, as good and consistent as he's been this year, last year, John Hunter won 7 races in this equipment. So Chandler hasn't met that mark. I could see Gibbs saying, hey, these other guys, they bring money as well. The Sawaliches of the world, like, he could be special. Let's take a chance on him. Chandler, you've had your shot. You bailed on Toyota once. Like, I don't know. I could see it, but that doesn't change my opinion that it's a little alarming. Someone like a Chandler Smith, young, some funding, talented, can't find a decent Xfinity Series ride. That's alarming, I believe. Anyway, I just wanted to share those comments, share those thoughts with you guys real quick. Let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comments below. Am I overselling Chandler Smith? Is he not all he's cracked up to be? Maybe I'm underselling what Chandler Smith has accomplished. He has been extremely consistent this year. I think he has the most top 10s, or he's tied for the most top 10s in Xfinity this year, something like that. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But that is going to do it for this Monday episode of Out of the Groove, folks. Thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up on this video, helps me out a ton. Subscribe if you're new. We talk NASCAR every day. Huge thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be racing in Groovy Hollow, my annual charity iRacing event. I've never raced before. In fact, I've only been on iRacing on and off for about 2 months now. I'll be racing against real NASCAR drivers, hardcore sim racers. Should be a fun time. Hopefully I can hold my own. I think it'll be entertaining regardless. Tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on my channel. Hope to see you there. That'll do it for this episode, folks. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.